Hello, everybody, and welcome to an impromptu episode of the Outlaw Nation show happening at noon here on the West Coast. Usually my Outlaw Nation shows are at night at 6 or 7 p.m. But, there's so much buzz going on. There's so much chitter-chatter happening on the social media, happening in people's emails, happening around the water cooler, people texting each other back and forth about the madness last night at the Oscars, both good and bad. And this is a show that's going to talk about the highs and lows of the Oscars. Here, my OCD's kicking in. So let me make sure I angle myself so I'm right in the middle of the chairs here. But yeah, highs and lows of what happened last night at the Oscars ceremony here, live last night on ABC. I did a Twitch watch along of the Oscars. If you haven't watched that yet, it is up there on Twitch for you all to watch. I downloaded the whole thing. I almost put it up last night, but I was like, who's going to want to watch the Oscars for 3 hours and 45 minutes on YouTube? Maybe I should have put it up, but if you want to watch it and go to certain moments, feel free to go do that on Twitch. It is up there for you all to enjoy. I might play some of it depending on how I can finagle sharing the screen for things like that here for this conversation for the Oscars. And of course, the Streamlabs and Super Chats are open. If you guys want to send some support, send in some love, send in some funny jokes or what have you that you want me to read on air, feel free to do so. It is right up there, the Streamlabs address. It's also down below, and it's also in the description, or I'm going to pin it in the chat here in just a second. So you all, if you want to send anything in at all for John here, that's me or the Outlaw, however you want to say it, on the Outlaw. Can you tell I'm doing this impromptu? Like I didn't have too much preparation. Just felt like jumping on. I know some of you really enjoy when I come on just live without too much preparation and start talking about stuff. So thought I'd have a little fun with you all this afternoon. Hope you all are enjoying your Monday and having a good time there wherever you're at in your life, whether you're working or you're hanging out or you're taking the day off. I got up around, 9 o'clock this morning, 9:30 this morning. I was dragging a little ass because last night that Oscar ceremony absolutely wiped me out. I mean, I had the emotional United States, first half of the United States-Panama game in the World Cup qualifying, which they did an incredible job to win. But then halfway through, I had to jump on and do the Oscars. So in essence, there was a lot going on yesterday. Just exhausted me when I woke up this morning for sure. And then, of course, going on social media and having people get mad at some of my takes, support some of my takes, like some of my takes, certainly was a hell of an experience last night for sure. Hey, they don't call me the Outlaw because I say all the right things all the time or because I say what they want me to say all the time. They call me the Outlaw, and I call myself the Outlaw because I give you my truth, my unvarnished, raw, unfiltered, and authentic truth. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, but I'm always going to respect your point of view. So all I ask you to do is to respect my point of view about a number of things. And listen, this is not a show that's going to be fully dominated by the slap heard around the world, as is being described in some of the foreign publications, foreign press. Is going to be a show that talks about everything that happened in the Oscars last night. And please remember to hit a like on this video as you're watching. Got 80 of you watching already live. Thanks so much for joining me live here. So many of you. Please hit that like button here. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button as well. And hit the bell button too, so you see when we're dropping all the content we do here on the Outlaw Nation channel for sure. All right, so here's the deal. Oscars last night. We had a new producers and Will Packer, kind of the head executive producer. He'd done a number of films, but he'd never produced a live event. So last night going into the Oscars, there was a lot of concern about, okay, are they going to get it right? Are they going to, kind of be able to handle things? Are they going to get the categories in and out? Are they going to be able to keep it under 3 hours, hoping? And how are 3 hosts going to work when last year we didn't even have a host, I believe. The last couple of years we haven't had hosts. How are they going to make this work with 3 hosts when 1 host has caused the Oscars to go overtime and whatever? And in the end, I will say this. I'll say positive things about the Oscars first. The number one thing I enjoyed was the set design of the entire stage. That was a beautiful design for the Oscars. I got to say, I really enjoyed the red, silver, and black tones throughout. I really enjoyed that. I feel like a lot of people got a heads up of what the stage was going to look like. So that's why I imagine so many women were wearing red dresses last night. Simu Liu showed up as wearing a red suit. So some men wearing red suits. Of course, Timothy Chalamet not showing up with a shirt at all there on the red carpet. That was an interesting experience overall. So I will say that I enjoy the production design of the sets, of the look. I liked the graphics. I liked the flow of the show, to be honest with you. I enjoyed the presenters. The pairing up of the presenters really worked. I did enjoy the James Bond montage. I do hear Kalinowski saying that maybe some of the James Bond actors should have been brought in to introduce this. But how do you pick out the ones that want to? Do you want to pay them? They're all going to fight for equal time on the stage. Can you get all those actors? I mean, it just would have caused, I think, a lot of commotion, a lot of issues. But in the end, I think they made the right decision, and I enjoyed that montage. I would have liked to have seen some more montages throughout the Oscars, and unfortunately, we didn't get that many montages. And I would have liked to have seen some more of that. Now, as far as the hosts, I think starting off, it was really bumpy. Nothing against Regina Hall, Wanda Sykes, or Amy Schumer, who are all very accomplished actresses and comedians in their own right, much more successful than I am at anything I do. So I'm not going to be too critical of them, but I will say this. I thought the beginning was really clunky, was just not the joke. Some of the jokes and whatever they were delivering, I thought were kind of off base and tasteless. And it felt like, okay, we're at the Golden Globes now, or we're at the MTV Movie Awards or something like that. And I get what Will Packer was trying to do. He was trying to young up the show. He was trying to make the show more urban, for lack of a better term, more relatable, more current to what people are into now in the pop culture for the younger ages. He was trying to connect to them. And look, according to Scott Mantz, the ratings on this, I want to bring this up. Scott Mantz talking about the ratings. He tweeted about the ratings this morning. And for those of you who may not have seen this, but after last year's Oscars had a record low of only 9.85 million viewers. This year's ceremony was up 56% to 15.36 million viewers, ladies and gentlemen. So whatever their intention was last night, it seemed to have worked. And that isn't just after a certain thing happened, because that slap was 2.5 hours into the show. So the fact that that many people tune in, a 56% jump. And I also think that's combined with the general overall pop culture mindset about the Oscars going into this year's Oscars. Last year, I think the COVID stuff, I think that there was a lot of anger in the air. There's a lot of frustration in the air. And the last thing they wanted to do was to watch a bunch of rich, successful millionaires give each other awards. Now, I don't agree with that take, because I really get tired of seeing people get mad at people for being successful at what they do in life. Look, they are successful at being actors. They've worked hard to be successful at being actors. And you could argue the great ones who win the Oscars have really put so much of their lives into becoming good at what they do so they can be recognized by their peers and be rewarded by their peers with a gold statuette. So I do not subscribe to the angry, cheap seat mentality that is, oh, screw those billionaires giving each other awards. I understand it. I don't subscribe to it. I don't agree with that. I think it's limited thinking. I think it's jealous thinking. I think it's envious thinking. And I think a lot of us would love to be in a position where we're making millions of dollars and getting rewarded for it. And sometimes the money is irrelevant. People seek validation. I don't know if you've ever met an actor, but there's a lot of insecurity, self-esteem stuff that goes on there. And they seek that validation from their peers and from the public too, but certainly from their peers saying, hey, you did a good job. Remember Sally Field? She won that second Oscar and she was like, you like me. You really like me. That's as naked and honest as it gets in terms of the vulnerability of an actor or a director or a producer or a creator. And I thought there were a lot of beautiful moments last night from people who won awards. Certainly Questlove delivered a fantastic speech that broke a lot of hearts right after the incident that happened between Will Smith and Chris Rock, which we're going to get to. I thought he delivered a wonderful speech, and he got emotional talking about his mom, talking about his dad. Troy Kotsur winning the award as well. What an incredible victory for Troy Kotsur. I mean, this was a guy a year ago who probably, or 2 years ago, probably couldn't even conceive of the possibility of winning an Oscar because of how limited roles there were for people who are deaf, actors who are deaf, and was able to get the award from his peers. And it was an incredible victory for him. Cody Smith McPhee will be back, ladies and gentlemen. Jesse Plemons will be back, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of those actors in that Best Supporting Actor category will be back. Kieran Hines is going to do a lot of work before he shuffles off this mortal coil. So there's going to be a lot of people working on this. So Troy Kotsur, I think, absolutely delivered. He was the heart of that movie with Emilia Jones, and it was fantastic to see him rewarded in that way. And really shout out, and I don't want to mispronounce her name, so I'm just going to say the Best Supporting Actress from Minari, having her hold the Oscar statuette so that Troy could use both his hands to sign his thank yous to everybody and give his speech was just a brilliant move. Plus, she said his name in ASL, in sign language. That was incredibly brilliant. So certainly she had prepared herself for that moment, and I thought that moment was absolutely beautiful as well. What other speeches? I enjoyed Jessica Chastain's speech, talking about leading with love. Certainly, Jessica has been a powerful force, a powerful voice for certain causes, for certain things that she believes in. So having her kind of try to calm the crowd down a little bit after what happened. Anthony Hopkins, I thought, delivered a fantastic speech as well. Costner went a little long, but I understand the sentiment of his speech, even though Jane Campion called him out for that speech. I think that was a nice way to speak about how being a director can be a very pressure-filled situation with a lot of people questioning you and people constantly claiming they could do better with half a chance. I thought that was a really poignant speech there for people who are looking to understand the mindset of what a director has to endure and encounter and overcome in order to achieve what they achieve in the world of film and also to achieve an Oscar. Certainly, again, being rewarded by your peers. Oh God, I can't remember his name right now. Riz Ahmed. I thought Riz Ahmed delivered a powerful speech as well, even though it was during that sequence where they're bringing on the winners after they've already announced them to deliver their speeches. I thought his speech was really poignant, talking about this is for everybody who feels outside the norm, who feels outside the mainstream. This is for you. The Dos Uruguitas performance absolutely decimated me. I have a couple of friends who haven't seen the movie, and they texted me that they didn't like the song or didn't understand. Until you see the movie, you're not going to get that fucking song. It is not going to burrow itself inside of your heart and decimate you every time you hear the opening chorus. Sebastian Yatra was incredible delivering that song, and I thought it deserved to win. But in the end, Billie Eilish won. I thought she delivered a really sweet speech with her brother. And I thought Billie Eilish, I predicted that was a possibility on the Geek Buddies last week, that it might win because it had won, because the last two James Bond theme songs, I believe, won Best Original Song Oscar. So that's 3 for the Daniel Craig Bond. So if nothing else, this elevates the Bond under Daniel Craig to a whole nother level. 3 Oscar wins. That means something for sure for that, for Best Original Song and a sort of other things for sure. Who else delivered a fantastic speech last night? I thought, so another couple of positives. I thought Amy Schumer, the Spider-Man thing. I thought the Richard Williams pushing that whole sequence of all 3 of them, and Regina Hall coming out dressed as Jessica Tammy Faye. I thought that was a really funny moment with them. So I'm trying to get all the positives out of the way. Overall, were there any other speeches you guys thought were fantastic? And Coda winning, of course. Oh, Sean Hayter. How can I forget Sean Hayter? Sean Hayter's speech was really great for a Best Adapted Screenplay. She delivered a wonderful speech talking about her hard work and the odds against them and everything that she had to endure in order to make this movie happen. I thought that was a very sweet moment as well, for sure. And Ariana DeBose, how do I not talk about Ariana DeBose? What a wonderful speech she gave about, all that she went through, the dreams that do come true, even in this crazy world. It feels like you got to give up hope. There is no hope in it. Things can happen, dreams can come true. And she was incredible in delivering that speech, talking about being a woman of color, talking about being a queer woman, talking about being a minority or what is classified as a minority, talking about all of that she endured here to win, giving love to everybody in the West Side Story crew. That was great to see. So there were a lot of really touching, heartwarming speeches overall. And there were some funny moments. I thought the Josh Brolin, Jason Momoa exchange was really funny between them. When he asked him if he was ever nominated for an Academy Award, and he just laughed and scoffed. I thought that was some funny moments as well. So there was a lot that I found myself enjoying. Troy Kotsur, yeah, I did mention Nathanatos. I did mention Troy Kotsur's speech. I mentioned that. I know much I enjoyed his speech as well. So it's incredible to see all of that happen overall. Yeah, and Wanda at the museum was fun. Louis Ferdinand saying that Wanda at the museum was fun. I thought so too. I thought Wanda at the museum was really fun as well, and enjoyed everything she had to say and the back and forth with I forget that actor Dan Gilbert. I forget his name, the actor, but I've seen him in a number of things, and he is so great to watch and stuff for sure. So I just don't remember his name because I think he's in Grace and Frankie, but I've seen him in a million other things. And he's got that great look and great delivery in the back and forth with Wanda that I thought was really funny here. Let's see what else. I think that all that I thought were the highs and lows from the highs rather from last night. Let me see. I've got a couple of things that I've written down here to talk about. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Let me see. Let me look at some of the winners. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Troy Katsur. Yes, yes. Oh, I know you guys might find this crazy, but I thought the Coda victory was a hell of a signal to people. I mean, I just tweeted this out a few minutes ago. Apple TV got in the streaming game late. A lot of people are like, oh my God, remember they released that black and white video, that like 8-minute black and white video. And it was an incredible video that had all these directors and creative people in it talking about the aspirations of Apple TV and the power of film. From that video, Apple TV had announced their intention of going after Oscars and prestigious awards and going after that level of success that movie studios have. And Apple knew what it wanted to do. And they have deep pockets. And you all know this, ladies and gentlemen. Probably some of you watching right now on an Apple product. They have deep pockets because people buy their stuff and love their stuff. So no surprise that they got in the game late, but ended up crossing the finish line first in terms of Best Picture. I talked about that shit. I called that shit way back on a Collider Movie Talk or Collider Mailbag. I think it was a mailbag where I said, just because Apple TV is coming in late to the game, it doesn't mean they won't win Best Picture. And sure enough, it happened. They beat Netflix, Amazon Prime, all these other streaming services, Hulu, who have had some really great films, especially Netflix. I mean, you could argue in any given year, given certain movements of the voting body, The Irishman or Mank or even Power of the Dog this year wins Best Picture. Coda was a phenomenon. And I wonder, once the dust settles, if we're really going to think that Coda was a better constructed film overall than The Power of the Dog. Because I think Power of the Dog is one of the most incredibly well-directed films. The cinematography is stellar. The music, the score is incredible. The acting, the performances, the subtlety going on, the nuance going on, the quiet moments of character development, of character conflict. I really enjoyed that through Power of the Dog. But I'm the outlaw, as it says on my shirt here. So I'm a Westerns guy. It is my jam, and it worked for me very much. But I understand the sentiment of Coda. People loved Coda. This was a popular film. They wanted it to happen. And so in the end, Coda is the film that took the Best Picture Oscar home. And I hope, and we'll see what happens down the road. Yeah, Coda made people feel something, says David Romero. That's great, but that doesn't always mean that's the best film or the best picture. A lot of films make you feel something. It doesn't mean it's the best picture, So to me, in the end, I would have liked Power of the Dog, but I got no issues with Coda winning it. I'm a big fan of Apple TV. I'm a big fan of what Apple TV is doing, what they're creating, a lot of their content. I'm a huge fan of it. In the end, it would have been my choice to go with Power of the Dog. That being said, I don't think it diminishes Power of the Dog in any way for the people who like the film. I think those of us who like the film, we understand why we like the film. We understand how the film works for us. And we also feel something when we're watching that movie. Because I think what David is saying, feel something, it means uplifted and joyful. That's great. But feel something is a subjective term. I felt something when I was watching The Power of the Dog. It wasn't uplifting or joyful or, thinking about the human condition in a positive way, but I was moved by that film because of some of the dread, some of the stuff that happened, some of the shock, and especially that ending moved by the decision of that ending. What does that mean? And you could argue that's a man handling his business against another man in that movie in order to protect a woman. The end of the power of the dog is an interesting conversation to be had when you look at that movie and compare it to Coda for sure. Absolutely, fastball. You can love both. Who's going to tell you not to love both? Enjoy whatever you want to enjoy. I always say that. Love whatever film you want to love. You know, I'm a Transformers guy, so I'm always going to defend people loving whatever film they want to love 100%. So, all right. So, this is the first streaming service to ever win Best Picture, ladies and gentlemen. So, just put that in your head. This is the first streaming service to ever win Best Picture, and they did it in like single digit years. I think in what, 3 or 4 years, they were able to accomplish this quest. So pretty incredible stuff from Apple TV. And shout out to Sean Hayter, Marley Matlin, Troy Katsur, Emilia Jones, Eugenio Derbez. Let's not forget that Eugenio Derbez was an essential part of that cast. Shout out to him and the stuff they did there as well. All right, so let's talk about some of the things that I didn't like last night. I did think some of the jokes fell really flat with the three hosts. I thought Amy and Regina and Wanda took some unnecessary shots that just seemed like low hanging fruit. I mean, the shot about the last duel, you basically spat in the face of Jodie Comer's performance. She's incredible in that movie. And Ridley Scott is a legend in this business. Certainly going to be more legendary than Wanda or Amy or Regina. And for them to just kind of dump on him like that, I thought was out. But but I can get sensitive about it. That's just my own personal opinion. Certainly, some other people enjoy the jokes. I thought as I said, the Spider-Man jokes, them dressing up like that, I thought was really funny. But the picking up Kirsten Dunst and moving her off as a seat filler, I thought that was such a cringe worthy moment because I mean, Kirsten has endured a lot of crap in Hollywood and has endured a lot of stuff over the last few years to kind of come back and be seen as a damn good actress, come back and be seen and reappreciated as a damn good actress here at this stage in her life. And she's, accumulated nominations, accumulated recognition for that. And for her to kind of debase her as a seat filler and move her out of the way, I thought was the wrong move, especially with what had just happened, which we'll get to in just a couple of minutes here. But yeah, I thought it was such a wrong move. And Kirsten obviously didn't know what was happening because she was a bit like, why the fuck are you doing this? And then she did get up because she seems like a nice person and she knows it's part of the show. But Jesse looked like he was not happy about it himself. And I wonder what Jesse was actually thinking. Like, maybe, I mean, someone suggested that would have been funny on Twitter. Someone suggested if he had said, keep my wife's name out of your mouth. That would have been really funny, I think, and maybe turn the crowd a little bit if he had said that. But yeah, that was a weird moment for Amy Schumer. I thought some of the other jokes kind of fell flat. I mean, them playing Africa, Toto's Africa, a white band under Daniel Kaluuya and her coming out to present. I thought that was of poor taste. I thought the in memoriam, the gospel stuff, I get it. It's gospel. It's supposed to be uplifting and love gospel. I'm a big fan of gospel and how it can pick you up in your lowest moments. And I get it, but not everybody who was being shown on that screen is Christian or religious or Catholic or is connected to a gospel in any way. So to have that come out, I thought, a little bit possibly. I would have liked to know if they had talked to all like the representatives of the families that they were going to be showing to say, this is what we're doing. Are you okay with this? To just do it without thinking about the family's feelings, about how they're seeing a bunch of people dancing around and act like it's a cool thing that these people are dead, I thought was the wrong. Now I get it. It's gospel. It's supposed to be about celebrating the life, celebrating the accomplishments of that person. I totally get it. What the intention was. I just think making the gospel choir up front in front of the screen. So you're focusing on the gospel choir, not the people going on this behind the screen. I mean, some of those angles, the gospel choir was like half covering the screen. So you barely saw who was the people they were eulogizing. And if you were in the audience, I wonder if you're sitting on the lower level, if you saw any of the photos of the picture beyond the gospel choir. I would have rather had the screen in the front, the gospel choir maybe below the screen or just a little bit behind the screen. That I think would have, but still like lit really well so you could see them. I think maybe that was the better move instead of making the gospel choir right up front, center stage, at the edge of the front of the stage. To me, that seemed a little weird on so many levels. So for me, that seemed a little weird. And again, I get why he was doing it. I just didn't 100% like it, to be honest with you. Now, as far as the A category stuff, I also didn't like the way they did that. I mean, having them just say, having the announcer say all the nominees and then announce the winner real quick, having them run up on stage, deliver a 30-second speech, and then run off, which I think was from earlier in the night. So they edited in them coming up to accept the award and deliver the speech and then cut those speeches and move them on. We still went 3 hours and 40 minutes with all that stuff you did. You still went 3 hours and 40 minutes. So to me, whatever changes or adjustments you made, it did not affect the length of the show. But clearly the ratings are high. So who knows if Will Packer will now come back and do it again, having had this experience. Maybe there's a better Oscars in him to produce and in the production team to produce overall as well. Was there anything else overtly I didn't like before I get to the big thing that we want to talk about here? Was there anything else that I didn't 100% like? Let's see. Oh yeah, the popular film thing. Oh my God, that was such a colossal mistake. That made it feel like the MTV Movie Awards. Look, the Oscars are prestigious. That's what it is. Everything. If you watched the Super Bowl and they played it like the USFL, would you be happy about it? Or played it like the Arena League? Would you be happy about it? No. If you went to the World Series and they played it like a AAA league, it would not have the same kind of magic or prestige or, dare I say, nobility that the Oscars has to have. The Oscars are considered the top award in our business, in our industry. And if it is the top award, therefore, there needs to be a certain level of decorum, I believe, that should be a part of this. And to start reducing it down to I don't know, the lowest common denominator approaches, I wasn't a fan of that. And so having the popular film thing, that really hit me the wrong way. Not that those films shouldn't be highlighted. Do them in a montage. Hell, do a montage where you're showcasing all the films that made a crap ton of money and just do a whole montage, because essentially that implies they are popular films. So then just do a whole montage of films that are popular films that made a lot of money, that were successful, that people loved in the theater. Do that montage. You're still giving it love, showing scenes from it. You're still giving it love. Or do a whole montage with streaming service films, like all the streaming service films that came out. Because listen, the tide is changing. The sands are shifting beneath our feet. This idea of the studios being the only people who are putting out content that are going to win Oscars or Golden Globes or BAFTAs or any of these other awards is over. I mean, the idea of the studio being the only, it's over. All right. Streaming services have now, with this win, with the numerous Netflix nominations over the last few years, with even Amazon Prime getting in and Hulu wanting to get in, of course, with being the Ricardos, now there's going to be more and more of this happening through the streaming services. So there needs to be a breaking down of this idea of, being not loving the streaming services. Fuck that. Embrace that shit. Do montages of all the great films that came out in these streaming services so that people can decide if they want to enjoy film. And that's what film is supposed to be. Not provincial, not guarded, not under a fucking box. Film is supposed to be something that you can have access to and enjoy and lose yourself in. And no matter if it's a streaming service movie or a studio movie, you should have access to it to enjoy it. And it should be celebrated. And so the Oscars not celebrating streaming films, not creating separate montages or separate sections to talk about streaming films, I think is a colossal misstep that needs to be addressed in the future going on. Zack Snyder. Here's I'm not your average bear says, I'm sorry, but Zack Snyder winning 2 fan awards after the era he's had for the last 6 years and after releasing Cut, that doesn't bother me at all. Congratulations to him for real. Oh, no, listen, I got no problem with Zack winning. I love Zack. You guys know I love Zack. I'm a fan of Zack winning anything, but the awards he got were nothing. They're just fan-based awards. That doesn't really mean anything. All right, it was nice to see his films being highlighted, but, seeing people making fun of the, and snarky critics, of course, making fun of the flash scene from Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I think is one of the most fantastic scenes in the movie, seeing them going off and turning it into a meme for their own snarky, funny, we're writers and we're funny goodness, I think kind of pissed me off, to be honest with you. And that's where you start to understand why these film critics and these writers hate Zack Snyder. For some reason, in their fucking minds, they have turned him into a bro who used to bully them in high school. And he's not. Michael Bay is that. Zack Snyder isn't. No one complains about working with Zack Snyder. No one complains about doing stuff with Zack Snyder. And it's just mind blowing to me to see so much hate for him and derision and snarky takes on him at the expense or by these writers at the expense of Zack Snyder, these critics at the expense of Zack Snyder. It really does infuriate me, man. Infuriate. Yeah, Snyder is a liberal, yet these people still go after. Snyder worked with Ray to get that cyborg story put in and be the heart of his Justice League. So this idea that these snarky liberal critics have to go after him because they think he's a bro director really drives me nuts. As if somehow you can't have his take in this world of progressiveness, in this world of emotional connections, which I support and I love. You can't somehow that kind of masculinity is not fucking allowed. That is bullshit. Okay, absolute and utter bullshit. And I think that needs to be moved on out of here once and for all. I think they're threatened by it. I think they want to make fun of it because they can from their snarky perches, because they're not going to get slapped for it. And they make their comments. And I think that's so unfair to what Zack Snyder and some of his movies are. Yeah, so absolutely. I'm going to take a drink real quick. Sarah Hayden offering an interesting point, saying, she says, it's probably because so many of his loudest fans are those bros. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. But don't go after the director, go after the fans. Have the guts to go after the fans. But I'll tell you why critics don't do that, because they're afraid to lose clicks, lose likes, lose followers, lose subscribers, lose Patreon people. So they go after Zack Snyder. They don't go after the fans. It's easier to go after Zack Snyder because he's a target, he's popular. If you go after the fans of Zack Snyder, if you go after, then you start risking reactions, risking losing followers and subscribers. So why not just shut the fuck up and not saying anything? Why are you going after a guy who's got nothing to do with how these guys are reacting or acting or anything like that? He doesn't encourage people to, like, dude, go and bomb, go and, totally, attack these people, go and make fun of them, go and destroy them. That is not his life goal. So I just think sometimes he gets unfairly lumped in with the fair criticism of his fans. And I think that's unfortunate. There is a place for nuance here for sure. All right. So let's see here. Have I got any Streamlabs or Super Chats? Oh, nothing. I've got nothing. I've been going for 30 minutes and no one has sent in any support. All right. Well, the Streamlabs address is right up there. It's also down below here. And the Super Chats are available too if you want to send them in. So streamlabs.com/John Rocha says, I've got it pinned in the chat. It's also in the description of this video. And if you don't see it in the description, let me know and I'll get on. All right. Now, after 32 minutes, let's jump into the big news that happened last night. Let's talk about the slap. Wow. What a night. I will say this. I was just about finishing my food that I had warmed up from the night before because I'd been talking for 3 hours on Twitch last night. I just about warmed up my food. And Chris Rock came out and made that joke about Jada Pinkett and said, hey, Jada, great to see you getting ready for G.I. Jane 2. Now, Jada's wearing a green dress. Some people describe it as kind of a camouflage dress or whatever. And she was bald. Now, and she's bald. Now, Jada Pinkett has talked about her alopecia for well over a year. Chris Rock did a documentary about Black women's hair. And the last time Chris Rock hosted the Oscars, he made a joke at Will Smith and Jada's expense. So this is all context. Okay. This is all context for the situation. I don't think any of us know if Will and Chris, what their relationship is like. I don't know if any of us know what Jada and Chris Rock's relationship is like. Do they know each other? Look, the Black community of actors is a small community of actors in Hollywood because not many of them are being given chances to be successful. So when they are successful, it certainly incurs a sort of brotherhood or sisterhood amongst the actors and actresses in the Black community for the most part, because there aren't that many that unfortunately get a shot in Hollywood. And so I think that's a tight, it's possibly a tight group. I'm sure there's divisions and different opinions and whatever, as there is with any group, but in essence, a tight group. So we don't know how much Chris knew about her alopecia. And if he did know about her alopecia, he was taking that moment into his own hands. I in no way advocate. Some people were making a mistake about my tweets last night. I was not advocating Will Smith doing what he was doing. What I was saying was, don't be surprised if you cross that line with a man's wife or a man's girlfriend, a man's significant other, or a man's a husband, a man's boyfriend, or what have you, however they identify. Once you take a joke and you cross that, or you make a joke and you cross that line about something that your partner is super sensitive about, it's dangerous. Okay. Now, do I condone what he did? Absolutely not. It was embarrassing. And what Will Smith did, and he didn't think about this in the moment, was he gave the white establishment now another example of how those black people act in certain moments. We can't even have an Oscars award with a black man slapping another black man on stage in the middle of his speech and then cussing him out from a front row seat. All right, that is something that I don't think Will thought through, and certainly Denzel giving him some advice and saying, "Hey, man, the devil comes for you when you're at your best, when it's your highest." And certainly we've all seen it. Someone who is riding high makes that one comment, makes that one mistake, and it kind of ruins their career. And this is where I have like evolved on this from last night. Like last night, I put the tweet up and it was a joke, and it immediately took off. I had no idea it was going to take. I think it's at 1,500 likes now and a number of retweets and quote tweets or whatever. But I had no idea. It was just I was tweeting about a bunch of stuff through the Oscars as I was doing the live watch along. But then seeing people reacting with like, "Oh, I was sick to my stomach," or I went into the corner and almost threw up, or I had to turn it off. I was so frazzled, or all this is assault and violence, and they were trying to characterize it with this horrible narrative and horrible illusion and horrible description, which I don't think was warranted. Okay. Now, again, I don't condone what Will did. I want to make it very, very clear. I don't condone what Will did. Choosing violence on a national stage when you're a black man is such a difficult road to walk, because the white establishment will absolutely latch onto that. And certainly today I saw Aaron Rupar, who I follow on Twitter, pointed out at around 9 a.m., 10 a.m. that Fox News had mentioned Will Smith 43 times in their coverage in the morning, and had mentioned Ginny Thomas, who was conspiring with a Secretary of State to overthrow the government and a duly elected president. They mentioned her 0 times. 0 times they mentioned Ginny Thomas. But what you do is you give the racists and the not so veiled, and the veiled racist and the not so veiled racist ammunition. And that's the unfortunate result of this. And some people were like, "Oh, he should have been arrested. The police should have taken him out." The same people who were protesting the police not 5 fucking minutes ago are the same people jumping out and going, "The police," which is according to them, an inherently systemic racist organization. And look, you can look at the history and find out who is in charge of the police, who runs the police, and what have you. They wanted the police, same people they were bitching about for the last couple of years and protesting and going after on their tweets and whatever. They wanted those same people to step in and arrest a black man on global television for defending his wife. And that's what he was doing, defending his wife. Again, I don't condone it. Should he have been talked to? Should he have maybe left the stage? Should they've taken him backstage and had a conversation? Fine. That's absolutely fair. But having him escorted by the police in handcuffs, fuck no. Especially with the Academy's record of rewarding numerous white assaulters, numerous white sexual assaulters. That just would have looked like really weird. I just think it would have been a bad thing. Now, that being said, it put a bad look overall on the Academy over the last hour of the show. And they never got it back. Even with the Coda win, they never really got it back. The audience was still kind of shocked dealing with what happened. And then Will Smith's, obviously, his speech, which I understood. Clearly, there's a lot going on inside this man. He is a sensitive man. He is a person of great ability. And it's amazing to see so many people who are forgetting the decades of entertainment that Will Smith has given us, and what he struggled with, and how we loved him and then destroyed him and vilified him and made fun of him in the pop culture. And now he's on a little bit of a renaissance. Ever since Suicide Squad, people have kind of rediscovered that Will Smith can act. And he fought hard to do this role and play this role. And he invested so much of himself in this role. And he, I'm sure, was embarrassed by what he did. I'm sure was messed up inside by what he did. And clearly, people have been talking about his relationship ad nauseum because of Jada and what she's revealed and their open relationship and all of that. So he has been the target for ridicule for quite some time, for a number of years. And again, I'm not explaining it. I'm not trying to give him excuses. I'm not saying that. There's nothing wrong with putting everything in context so you can understand what might have been involved here when this happened. Okay. Chris, Chris has been a habitual line stepper for quite some time. All right. Remember, this is the same guy who a few years ago essentially legitimized O.J. Simpson being upset about and wanting to kill his ex-wife. Right? He said, "I, I don't condone it, but I understand it." Right? He said about shaking the shit out of a woman. Remember that? That was a bit that Chris Rock made, where he said he understood shaking the shit out of a woman. Remember that? I know it's all funny, it's a joke, it's a bit, blah blah blah. He still said it. He still did it. So a number of people have said, plus, remember when he hosted the Oscars and he crossed that line, essentially denigrating voiceover artists and the hard work they put in to be successful by saying that's the easiest job in the world, that just walk in, say a few lines, and walk out. And it's like, you don't understand the fucking business at all. So Chris has had a history of saying some dumbass shit, some funny ass shit, some very inventive, funny ass shit, but also some dumbass shit. And we don't know what the background is. We don't know if Chris is like, if Will has reached out to people and been like, hey, man, don't make any more jokes at our expense. Don't do blah, blah, blah. And I get it. Some people are saying Will initially laughed. Yes, he did. No denying that. He laughed. He looked down at the ground. He was trying to play along, trying to be the quote unquote, the good one of the good ones. Don't get aggressive. Don't get emotional. Just laugh along when people make fun of you, black man. Just keep laughing along when people make fun of you. Don't you dare get emotional or get hurt about it, or we're going to judge you. The same people who get upset when they're behind a person in the fast food and lose their minds are for too long, but a fast food line, are the same people getting upset that Will Smith felt the pressure last night or let the pressure get to him last night or whatever. And that's the thing. And they tried to say, oh, see, he's the aggressive black. I saw people say that one slap ruined their fandom of Will Smith forever. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I thought that's just so out of the pale to me. Yet they own Woody Allen movies. They have Roman Polanski films. They have Quentin Tarantino films. Don't forget that Quentin Tarantino choked Diane Kruger during Inglourious Bastards to quote unquote make it look real, even with her permission. That is still a line that shouldn't be crossed. There are a number of people who are going after Will Smith who probably, if you looked in their on their movie shelf, have a number of assaulters, sexual assaulters, rapists, what have you, still owning their movies and haven't gotten rid of their movies. You've got to be consistent in this whole thing. And that's what I'm getting at. Like these people taking one slap and saying, Will Smith is ruined forever is some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard. He made a mistake. We all fucking make mistakes. Yes, he chose violence and it was a slap. It was between two men. He crossed the line with the man's wife and it was handled, right? And according to Diddy, they handled it behind the scenes later on and it's all cool, right? But people want to jump onto Will Smith's shit and tear him to pieces. And I think there should be a little more understanding on both sides, because I'm sure Chris Rock feels, pretty terrible about the situation. I'm sure he didn't want to be part of anything like this. And Jada, we don't know what Jada's feeling, but Jada was out with Will at the Vanity Fair party, dancing around with Will, doing videos, Instagram videos with Will. And Jaden Smith, Will's son, came out and defended it. He said, that's how we do. And you watched Serena Williams and Venus Williams and the Williams family there reacting to Smith's speech and getting emotional, and they clapped along. Serena laughed when he mentioned Richard Williams and saying he's defending the father and all of that. And I totally understand that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get all the sides of what happened last night. And it was unfortunate, and Will lost it. And I think someone on Twitter, I wish I could remember the name, suggested a very, very great suggestion. If Will had walked up, taken the mic and said, Jada, I love you. You're beautiful exactly the way you are, man. Honey, or something like that. And I worship you, my queen. And then just walked off the stage. That would have been the better use, right? Walk right up, take the instrument that Chris Rock is using to debase the woman you love and use that instrument to uplift the woman you love. That would have been a better move, I think, overall. And when I saw that suggestion, I was like, yep, That's absolutely correct. That's what should have happened. But unfortunately, Will took this tact. And it's, I was talking to a few of my black friends this morning. We were texting about it. And to a person, they all were like, this is something that's going to be used. And this is disappointing. This is going to send the wrong signal. And people are going to, push back on this. And people are going to say, see, black people, you can't have black people. These things, they ruin stuff. They're going to, those people who are conditioned to believe that narrative will now have more ammunition to supplant their narrative. Or to promote their narrative, and that's unfortunate. Ratnick really not getting it here, unfortunately, saying he didn't insult her though. Oh, you did, Ratnick, and you're a fool for not thinking that. You should probably leave this show right now because I don't need that kind of stupid nonsense. Nor do I need a fan like you watching anything I do, to be honest with you. So get out of here. He did insult her. He did make a comment about her being bald, and she's bald because of her alopecia, something she has suffered with. Now, my friend Kate Mulligan delivered a fantastic retort and defense of that situation, not condoning what Will did, certainly against what Will did, but explaining the alopecia situation, her feelings about it, and certainly I acquiesce to her points of views, having a child who has that condition, and certainly we've spoken about on SEN Live a number of times, and we love her boy, and so what she go, and so I thought she was very eloquent in her response to it on Twitter, and I appreciated her point of view. And I think everyone's allowed to have their own point of view on these situations. But so I mean, to me, that's what it would have been the better move. Okay, go forward, say that, come back out. JMB says, Razor Rocha, you're not a film, but you make me feel things when watching your shows. It's mostly it's mostly joy, except when you tell me I'm out of my mind for a hot take. That's okay though. Much love. Yeah, much love to you too. So, and this is where and this is where the situation comes up is like, well, what should they have done? Because I see a lot of people going after the producers for not escorting Will out and letting him look. Will was going to win the award. And no, they shouldn't take his Oscar. And no, Andrew Garfield. I saw some people go, give it Andrew Garfield. Get out of here. He won the award legitimately. It was for the performance. It was an incredible performance. He had a moment where he lost his cool. How many of you out there judging him haven't lost your cool and yelled at a partner or maybe struck a family member, not a wife or anything, but struck a family member and lost your cool for a second or said something pretty offensive to somebody, and you felt terrible afterwards, and you learned that lesson. If you're the same person judging Will Smith for losing his cool or composure in a moment and slapping another man for an insult he felt about his wife, I don't know how you can kind of forgive yourself but not offer that same forgiveness or grace or understanding, if nothing else, to Will Smith's reaction in that moment. He wasn't just walking out there and slapping him for some stupid joke. It was a joke at a woman who he cares about's expense. And yes, and as I was saying earlier, he laughed initially, trying to play along with stuff, because remember, Regina Hall had made a joke at their open relationship expense, which I thought was untoward as well. It's not your business to make a joke about that. But she wanted to make a joke about that. Great. Will waved it off. It did not come up on stage. He didn't want to participate in it. That should have been a sign to every other person coming down the line. Do not fucking joke with Will Smith. It should have been the sign, right? And in the end, he looked over after he had initially left, and he saw the hurt in his wife's face. He saw the hurt in Jada's face. He saw the pain in Jada's face, and he reacted the way he reacted. Again, I'm not condoning it, but I'm trying to get people to understand in that moment. Our partners surrender their deepest secrets, their deepest fears to us in private, in those quiet moments. Those are the things that connect us to people. And certainly when we're in our relationships and we're with the person we want to be with for the rest of our lives, and someone who has uplifted us and believed in us and supported us and fought with us to succeed, having that person's personal struggle or battle that she only recently found the courage to talk about publicly served up as fodder for a joke. I think I can understand why Will felt the way he felt. I can understand what Will was thinking when he got up to do what he did. Now, I haven't thrown hands at anybody since 1992. I know some of you may think I get in fights all the time. I don't. I haven't lifted my hand to punch or hit anybody in retaliation for anything since 1992 in the military, and that was, a bar fight with a bunch of us. I haven't done that. Okay, but I can understand the mentality. Okay, some people don't have the idea of violence in their minds. And I get it. And God love you. God love you. Other people understand that that's an option if it needs to be an option down the road. And clearly with Will, this was a moment where he felt it was an option. And I think now, and I do believe that he sees the error of his ways and the mistakes that he made, the mistake he made here, and understands that he gave ammunition to the same people he has been fighting against for years to have them believe in him again as an actor, give them an opportunity to succeed as an actor. And it does mar his best actor win, unfortunately, because there are going to be a lot of critics. They're going to call him all kinds of names, and they're going to be the same critics who are going to beg to have access to his next film, to be in the press room, to be on the junket of his next film. Is the same critics who are bitching him out now. And and again, I get it if you feel this way. I get, and here's the thing: I will create space for too, and I should create space for. I am not a parent, and so as a mother and a father, if you have kids who watch that, I understand if you're saying to yourself, well, how do I explain this to my child? How do I have this conversation with my child and explain to him that's a hero of his or someone he respects, or an event like this, that a man chose violence in that moment, you know? And so I think that take has really kind of made me think about how I would approach it if I was a parent, and how much anger I might feel, because I saw a lot of parents on social media last night saying, "How do I explain this to my child?" Now I've got to spend the next few months kind of trying to deprogram that from my child, because we all know that if you have children, or if you've grown up around people who have children, a certain moment, harsh moment, can really affect their mentality and how they think about violence, how they think about lashing out, how they think about doing certain things. And so that I completely understand. And as a parent, I can't fully viscerally get it, but I get it. And I think that's a part of this that I hadn't considered last night when I was kind of reacting to some stuff. And this morning I deleted a bunch of tweets because I was like, yeah, you know what? I should have thought this through a little bit more and understood understood the point of views of other people. I've been a little more circumspect about it. But at the time, I just was really blown away about how many people were willing to just destroy him over a slap, and still seeing people willing to destroy him over a slap. And I want to read something here in just a second that I tweeted, if I can find it. But I want to read it to kind of give a little more context for it. Alice Kennedy said, "John, I knew you'd be the voice of reason. Everyone wants to be a Monday morning quarterback. They were both in the wrong for this." Yes, absolutely. I think Chris Rock was wrong. That was a toxic joke that Chris Rock told to a woman's face. And I tweeted this out. I'm not deleting that tweet. I think that tweet was legitimate. He told a toxic, horrible joke about a woman's physical ailment to her face on global television. He used it for fodder. And I feel like, well, now you should go find out what Chris Rock's deepest, worst secret is and tell a joke about it while he's in a moment where he's not expecting you to. And let's see his reaction. Chris Rock, who has spoken about his struggles in marriage, who has possibly cheated on his wife. He has still, is that fodder for random jokes? I don't know. So I'm trying to throw that out there for people to kind of see the multiple points of views that can be involved in this, And so this is the thing. A lot of people saying, use your words. Absolutely. Absolutely use your words. Jerry Cornelius saying it's not the attack, but the posing as St. Francis in his acceptance speech. I understand that. Yes, Will was trying to say he wants to be a vessel for his. I think some of the things he said were part of his speech already. The idea of being a vessel for his people, the idea of being called by God to uplift people, right? Now, through the prism of the slap, it looks like self-aggrandizement. But how many of us, if he had not done the slap, would have been moved about him talking about being a vessel for the Black community, for fellow Black actors, for elevating the Black community? He wanted to be a symbol for that, feeling like he was called by God to help Black people succeed more in this world, to be seen more in this world, to be respected more in this world. And that's, if you would put the speech without the slap in the context, I think a lot of what he was saying was what he was going to say anyways. I mean, think about it. That fits in the narrative that Will Smith has been in. If you've been watching his interviews over the last year for King Richard, if you've been watching the conversations he's been having with people and in these sit downs with people about the importance of this film, the importance of the character of the person rather of Richard Williams and what he represented and what he overcame to help his two daughters achieve an incredible amount of success in this world against a white establishment like tennis was at the time, still is for the most part. You might understand and have a little more context. And I get it. People want to snark away. Whatever, if that helps you sleep at night, snark the fuck out of it. It obviously takes more effort for you to actually try to understand a person's point of view, understand what a person might be going through. And in that moment, as in that apology, as I'm watching his apology, I'm watching a man struggling with 10 different emotions, slamming into each other at the same time, trying to find the right words, trying to save himself. And in no way was a black producer, a black band going to play him off. They were giving him the respect to let him find his way, because we all know people, regardless of race or ethnicity, we all know people who make a mistake and are on this journey to be better and are struggling through some things, and they say a thing or they make a mistake and they want to apologize somehow. And he did apologize to everybody in the room. He apologized to the Academy. He made a joke about whether the Academy is going to ask him back or not in the future. He knew what he did. He knew the mistake he'd made. And certainly his publicist coming down to talk to him was certainly an indication of that as well. And I also think it was incredible to see Denzel Washington, Bradley Cooper, all these other actors go and find the footage, all these actors coming up to him to try to console him, to try to make him feel better. Why? Because we've all made mistakes. We've all felt the pressure. We've all said the wrong thing or did the wrong thing. It's not condoning it. But if you see a person who is struggling, who has fallen down, why is it your instinct to further berate that person? Would you like that treatment if you made a mistake? If you made a mistake like this, would you want people to be standing over you, just vilifying you and pointing their fingers at you? Do you think that's the way to help someone come back from something like this? Again, if you console the person, you're not condoning the act. You are creating space to understand what might have been going on for this person, what emotions he was going through. Look, he's been living out here with his relationship with Jada for the last couple of years. They've been talking about it. He's been embarrassed by it. He's been called out by people on it. People have made fun of him for it. People have emasculated him for it. And that is a tough thing to endure. And maybe all of that was happening for him. And certainly in the speech, I think all of that was happening for him. And yes, he was later dancing, getting jiggy with it. But hey, I think he was still in shock. And it's going to wear off. And at some point down the road, there's going to be a conversation. And I wonder if Will and Chris are going to have a conversation together about it with a moderator. I think that would be fantastic. Because I think there's a lot of teachable moments in what happened last night for a number of people who were not involved in the situation. Because seeing so many people ready to just vilify and crucify Will over this, I think is just incredible to see how many people who have probably some, done some nefarious shit, some manipulative shit, some destructive shit in their past, were ready to jump through and go after Will, and I think that was unfortunate for sure. So let's see here. Here's it. Hey now LS says, cis sick of LA, butt kissing of celebs, live here part-time, all the bootlicking. Yeah. All right, dude, do something, man. It makes sense, for God's sakes. Here we go. Nathaniel Carlson says, I totally agree, John. We should stand by our emotions, but not physically act on them. Exactly. Will clearly, I think he feels very strongly that he made a mistake here now. I don't know, but I would imagine, Samuel says, both are in the wrong, but I feel Chris Rock's statement fully now addressed the concerns of ableism in this country, especially during the pandemic. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, somebody's saying Ricky Gervais tells toxic jokes. Yeah, Ricky's jokes. This I don't watch the Golden Globes because I think his jokes are, a little beyond the pale. And I not everyone enjoys to have their ass ridden and their deepest fears or their deepest insecurities kind of brought up for cannon fodder by a comedian under the veil of, I'm a comedian, you can't touch me, I can say whatever on, I'm a comedian, and I think that's not the correct approach. And why do comedians get a pass for being human beings? Like, why do they have to? Why do we have to say, like, hey, you know what? Say whatever you want. We should just be able to take it. I mean, this idea of sticks and stones may break your bones is absolute horseshit. Everyone knows that you can, or not everyone knows, but it's certainly in my point of view, you can recover from a physical injury. You'll heal. Words sometimes can destroy you for the rest of your life. Words sometimes can lead you to suicide. Words sometimes can lead you to hate yourself, just to destroy yourself, to speak down about yourself. You can, with your words, you can destroy someone sometimes more easily than you can with a slap or a punch. You can verbally destroy someone even more, because if you say a certain thing, that person will replay those words over and over and over again. Every time they make a mistake, every time they fall down, every time they don't get ahead, every time they blow an opportunity, those words come roaring back. And all of us, and I bet the 300 of you who are watching right now, thank you very much. Please hit a like on this video, and if you're watching later, leave a comment. The 300 of you watching right now, how many of you have an inner voice that says negative things about you? And when someone you respect or care about says a negative thing about you, how many of you grab onto that negative thing, shove it in your mind, and whenever you fuck up or make a mistake or something doesn't work out, you go right back to those words? So don't give me this shit that words aren't powerful. Words are very powerful. If they can uplift you, if they can move you, if they can inspire you, they can also tear you down, destroy you, and decimate you. So this idea that sticks and stones won't break my bones, but words will never hurt me is horseshit. Okay? We want to achieve that level where words don't affect us overall, but I don't know anybody who's ever reached that level of Zen, except for maybe the Dalai Lama, and Jesus. For those of you who believe Jesus exists, like I do. So that's the thing. And so in the course of that, I just think there needs to be some more understanding for everybody involved in this situation. And I know people want to vilify and they want to go after him and they want to, oh my God, I was broken by what he did. They want to do all that shit. And that's fine. Feel the way you want to feel. But in my opinion, at its core level, this was a guy who was clearly going through some shit. Chris Rock said the wrong thing at the wrong time to someone he deeply cares about. And maybe he had enough and he lashed out. And it was a mistake. And, Chris Rock soldiered on, to his credit. And according to Diddy, they handled it behind the scenes. And this is it. And maybe Will now realizes there's some counseling that needs to be done on his end and people he needs to talk to. And maybe some other people realize, hey, not everything is fucking cannon fodder for jokes. Just because you can take it, and I don't know many stand-up comedians that can take it, doesn't mean the other person should be able to take it. So I'm just putting it out there. There goes bye. Oh, bye. Bye, guy. Let's see here. What else have we got here? Jaimin John said the Godfather tribute is one of the highlights. Yes, yes and no, Jaimin. The Godfather tribute was nice, but in no way did we need Puff Daddy's music playing underneath the Godfather. Okay, no offense, but the Godfather is better than any song Puff Daddy's ever created. No offense, all right? I love Puff Daddy, love P. Diddy, love his music, Bad Boy and all that. But the Godfather is the Godfather. And it doesn't need your music to be topical or current or be respected by any generation. It's a classic film that stands on its own. And I think playing that music underneath it really ruined it. Not letting Pacino and De Niro talk for extended amount of time, I think really ruined it. But I mean, it was great to see the clips, but I just would have liked to have seen it without and maybe someone can create it without the Puff Daddy music underneath it and let that montage live on its own. And then let Pacino and De Niro speak about it for sure. JMB says, you mentioned things you'd liked/didn't like about the show this year. If you were in charge and had carte blanche, how would you do it next year? Oh my God, dude. We don't have time for that. We're already over an hour, and I've got to get to some other things here in just a little bit. But here's what I would say. First of all, I would remove this idea of needing to be hip and cool and topical. But look, the ratings are high. So maybe Will Packer was right to do it this way. I also think a lot of people were invested in Coda and wanted to watch this year to see if Coda was going to win. A lot of people loved that movie. So a lot of people celebrated that movie winning. And that's definitely one of the big highlights of the show last night, along for me with Ariana DeBose winning for sure. And of course, Jane Campion making history as the third female director to win Best Picture with Catherine Bigelow and Chloe Zhao. So shout out. And how great was it that Sean Hayter, a female director with Coda, and Jane Campion, a female director with Power Dog, were battling, were the two frontrunners and battling to see who was going to win Best Picture. So pretty incredible. And that's something we should definitely celebrate for sure. The thing, yeah. So I mean, I don't know if there's anything I mean, I would change certainly the in memoriam thing. I think I like the idea of one person with a piano singing a beautiful song as we watch the faces go across our screen and we have our own experience with those memories of those people. I like that. That I prefer for in memoriam. The three host thing I think doesn't work. Get one host. Let that host come in, come out. Don't let that host linger. Don't let that host do this extended bit. Let the host come in, come out. And I think that's really important because that's what drags on shows is giving the host a 5-minute bit every 30 minutes. And I don't think that's the way it should be. Come in, make a couple of jokes, roll on out, introduce the next presenters. Come in, do a 30-second skit or 45-second skit, then introduce the presenters. Keep it moving. I mean, we had an hour left in the show. We had 6 categories left. There's no way you shouldn't be able to get through 6 categories in 1 hour, including commercial breaks. There isn't. But they had all this other stuff that they added to the show. And so for me, it's about clipping, man. And the way you clip is not to have these extra things, and I think that's where there was an issue for me overall. But as I said, it made, it made over what it made. The ratings were pretty high for it. So, that being said, let's see. Do I have any Streamlabs? A couple of them that came through here. PC Williamson one says the saddest part is that it overshadows all the good of the day. Couture, Ariana DeBose, and including Smith winning his own award. Right. He's the second black actor to win Best Actor, but him and Denzel. Oh, third actually, with Sidney Poitier, Denzel, and him. Pretty incredible. Today, we should all be celebrating what some of these wins meant for so many groups. I think if anything's regrettable, it's that. And PC, you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right, my man. Too many people are leaning with. That's why I didn't want to talk about this until half an hour into the show because I wanted to give time to all the other good things that happened last night for sure. Coleman says, Mr. Rocha, amazing job covering all aspects of this. Your words about knowing your partner's insecurities were beautiful. Saw someone say if The Rock instead of Chris Rock had made the joke, there would have been no slap. Hadn't thought of it that way. Sure. Let me give you another way to think about it, brother. The Rock would have never made a joke like that. That's the difference. Everyone's saying, oh, if it was The Rock, he wouldn't have done it. The Rock would have never made a joke like that. The Rock respects people too much. Now, if you were battling The Rock in the WWE, maybe he makes a joke like that at your expense, but not like this. He's a gentleman. The Rock is a gentleman and would have never made a joke like that. So let me shoot down all those fucking memes and all those fucking thoughts right now. The Rock would never have made a joke like that. No, if he knew about Jada's alopecia. No fucking way would The Rock make a joke like that. Sally Sparrow, thank you so much for the donation here. Travis Earl says, I can't say I wouldn't react in a similar way in Will's shoes. To be honest, I get where he's coming from. Obviously, assault is assault, but I can't wholeheartedly condemn him. Don't bully people with medical conditions. Yeah, exactly, brother. I think everybody was in the wrong here, and there's enough blame to go around. Let's start doing some healing now, some learning, and some recuperating, and let's start pushing this down and start focusing on all the positives that happened last night. Seeing so much representation for the Latinx community, as John Leguizamo said, seeing so much representation for the deaf community, for women of color, for the queer community, for the LGBTQ plus community. Those are the positives to take from last night. From women, those are the positive things to take from last night for sure. Wiley Tutson says, Rocha, can we talk about the power of Billie Eilish? I personally think original songs or soundtracks bring a lot of power to films, especially when they're big artists. I honestly thought Encanto had it in the bag. They should have done Bruno for the nomination. You're right. They should. If you were trying to win the Oscar, and of course they didn't know, Wiley, that Bruno was going to be a sensation, so they couldn't have put Bruno. By the time Bruno was a hit, they had already submitted Dos Oruguitas, because Dos Oruguitas, if you've seen the film, is a gorgeous, gorgeous song. Those were my top two frontrunners. It was the Billie Eilish song or Dos Oruguitas. Nothing against Beyonce's song. By the way, it was an incredible performance by Beyonce. I thought that was phenomenal the way they staged that. I didn't like that they started live and then went to someplace outside the auditorium. I think start there, then you start the Oscars. Starting the Oscars and introducing Beyonce in a live format, then going right to where she's at. I thought that was a bit of a mistake. So for me, but the performance itself was incredible and really well designed, and Beyonce killed that performance. The song itself, though, it felt like an Olympic theme, one of those uplifting Olympic general themes. And it, even though it's got powerful words and powerful emotions within what she's singing about, for sure, and certainly reflects the emotions of King Richard, just wasn't that spectacular of a song. So for me, Dos Oruguitas, which really dives into the romance, a deep romance between two people, and the tragic end of of the romance, and the Billie Eilish song, which is really well constructed. It had shades of Skyfall in it, so I thought maybe people wouldn't necessarily gravitate to it. But listen to all three of those songs. They sound a little similar. So they may have found the formula here to get an Oscar for these James Bond songs. So, but yes, absolutely. The power of music is fantastic. And yeah, Bruno, the nomination would have been nice if it had gotten, it probably would have won the Oscar off of that. But I think Dos Oruguitas is the more artistic song. And I think that was the better choice. Jim Fan says, in a moment of anger/weakness, he reacted. Will is human. We all make mistakes. This one moment doesn't define him. His lifelong work thus far does. Also, that tweet from Judd Apatow that he deleted about Will was a joke. Hollywood is something else. Yeah, fucking Apatow. No offense. But I saw that tweet myself, Jim, and I almost went after him. And I thought to myself, well, why open that can of worms? Because Apatow certainly does love going after black comedians. Sometimes validated, sometimes not. He won't cast him in his movies unless you think of Romany Malco, but he sure as fuck will go after him. So for me, this is where I was really upset at his tweet, and I was very close to going after him. But you got to limit your drama on social media because it can be exhausting, and most of the time you end up losing because it just shows. So people with 6 followers feel like they can say the most rude, vile shit to you, and you're just supposed to just kind of roll with it, or they're trying to incite you to react to them because they've got nothing else in life, so they want to have someone who's got a blue check mark and a lot of followers to respond to them because it's some kind of status for them. You can't play into that. It's difficult to resist. So I was like, I'm not dialing into what Apatow said, and I'm glad to hear he deleted it. I didn't know he deleted it, so smart motherfucker to delete it for sure. Soul G said, oh, Soul, she says, if Jada would have slapped Chris, I feel like everyone would be saying, you go, girl. Some of the false equivalency takes people have had since the show is really annoying and harmful. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Some people claiming that Will is now, like I saw, a friend of mine really went crazy last night. I love him to pieces, but there's clearly a lot of anger going on in him that he has not resolved. Kind of like Will, maybe, himself, and he was comparing Will to Harvey Weinstein and to Woody Allen and to Roman Polanski, and it's like, what are you talking about? Will didn't rape somebody. Will didn't sexually assault a bunch of women. He stood up for his wife in a moment and lost control and slapped the guy. That's what he did. I'm not trying to denigrate it or downplay it. That's what he did. It's the basic facts of what he did. So to try to compare him as he's some kind of serial slapper or serial assaulter or serially violent person, that was so ridiculous. I mean, so fucking ridiculous. I just found that to be insane. Anyway, all right. Here, Jughead has got one here. Jughead, you got how many do you got in here? Jughead, okay. Jughead said one of two. Hi, John. Again, let me clarify myself. I'm not saying that slap is the correct response to every provocation. It is not. But when where's Jughead's? But when the provoker, Chris Rock, is continuously warned to stop and they do not, then what happens after that is on the provoker, not the provoked. More love and respect from the UK, brother. Love and respect to you, man. Yeah, I get that. And we don't know how much Will had told Chris about, hey, man, don't fucking make comments about my wife. Don't make comments about me. Leave me out of your shit. Leave me out of your shit. And if Chris Rock was told that and still went ahead, what can I tell you? I don't condone it, but if you're going to mess with people's emotions, don't be surprised. That's the thing. Why do people get to say whatever the fuck they want? You just got to deal with it. That's not a positive world either. That people can say the most horrific shit. People are like, what does this message send to generations or to future watchers? What does the message say? We condone that kind of joke. What does that message say to people? We condone these kinds of personal attacks turned into comedy for somebody who has no knowledge of this person's, or not knowledge, but who has no investment in this person's struggle. Just because you can't connect it doesn't mean you can't respect it. I found that to be fascinating to see how many liberals were like ignoring that aspect, that he insulted a woman's physical condition to her face, nakedly to her face, and they were going after Will for what I found that to be insane, to be honest with you. Hyman John says, thoughts on Argo? Does that film deserve the Best Picture win? No one really talks about that film nowadays. I think you just answered your question. I mean, Zero Dark 30 was the better film of those two, and I think as the years go on, it becomes more and more evident how much of a fantastic film that was. And certainly Jessica Chastain's win last night was validation for her as an actress, but also I think it's validation for Molly's Game, validation for Zero Dark 30, and a number of other rewards that she has, or performances rather, that she's delivered and not been rewarded on. Jughead said, big up to you, John. You're correct. I fully support Will Smith. Jada may be an ungrateful fool, but he defended her honor, love, and respect from the UK. But yeah, I don't agree with that, brother. You had me at the bottom half of your comments, but I do not agree with that. I don't call Jada ungrateful for that. I don't know where you get that kind of idea. I mean, she is a woman who has established herself way before Will showed up in her life. Jada was an actress. Jada is an actress. Jada is a performer. Jada is a creative person. She's a strong in the world of film and in the creative world in Hollywood as well. So this idea that she's ungrateful, that's ridiculous, brother. So I can't go with you on that one. I got to call you out on that one. All right, my voice is running out. I may have to kind of wrap this up here in just a few minutes. Stephen Turner says, if Oscar is going to punish Will, then let's talk about Adrian Brody. Non-consensually kissed Halle Berry in 2003, and no one said anything or condemned it. I think that's 100% right, Stephen. 100% right. That's also an assault. He violated her personal space for his own desire, and people blew it off as, and even now, I saw some people referencing it, and some people defended it as not as bad as Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. He's literally forced himself on a woman on a global stage because he felt the desire to kiss her. That's a violation. That's a violation, and you learn that. You learn that, and he should have learned that as well, and I agree with you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm taking a drink. All right, so let's look at this comment. This is something I want to break down real quick. Comedians make fun of everybody. If you're that sensitive, I mean, I get it. It's a different time, and that's the excuse we all use, but you can't just go around slapping people. Okay. This is the dramatic, pearl-clutching take that I'm seeing from a number of people. This is an isolated incident between two men who know each other. One guy crossed the line, and if he knows him and he's friends with him, his friend slapped him back over the line. That's it. This is not a now blanket statement that you can now slap comedians around or that you can't joke about anything. It's amazing how many comedians who accuse the toxic cancel culture are here willing to jump in and cancel Will Smith. The hypocrisy of that is just astronomically insane. I mean, the one side of their mouth, I can tell any joke I want. You can't cancel me. I should be able to say what I want to say. Fine. Will Smith in this moment stepped forward and slapped the comedian for insulting his wife in a terrible way. All right. It was an isolated incident and he handled it. That's it. That's all he did. He isolated it and he handled it. All right. This is not a blanket statement, again, that you can go around slapping comedians. That's not what this is about. But I sure hope it gave some comedians a pause, a moment to be like, hey, maybe not everything is okay. Maybe not. And that's okay too. You can still be edgy and not be a dick. You can still be edgy and not use someone else's personal struggle, sensitive personal struggle, for your cannon fodder jokes. You can have some humanity as well. Just because you write comedian on your fucking resume does not mean you can say whatever the fuck you want. Everyone's got to deal with it. Bull fucking shit. Bull fucking shit. I'm never going to adhere to that. You don't all of a sudden go, hey, I'm a comedian. I therefore do not need to be a human being or have any kind of sensitivity to anybody. Now I can say whatever the fuck I want. It's ridiculous. Ray Dominguez the third. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate that, brother, man. Jaime John says, hope next year's Oscars Rock does the rock bottom. Yeah, right. I think Jay Washington is correct. Jay Washington tweeted out, or he said on his uh, Facebook, he said next year's Oscars is going to be the white is going to be the whitest Oscars, like new pillows coming out of a pillowcase. That was a great joke. All right, let's see if I got any more Streamlabs super chats. Okay, none. All right, so let's wrap it on up here, man. I got to get on with some things. Already been almost 90 minutes on here. I didn't know if anybody was going to join me, so thank you so much. Almost 300 of you joining me here to talk about this. And yeah, I get some of you are on my. Some of you understand what I'm coming to. Some of you don't. Some of you are very adamant about your points of views, and I respect that. You've got a right to your point of view. You got a right to your opinion. Respect you. I come in from a different place. Some of you agree with me. Some of you don't. It's the way it is. It's called the free system in America, and I respect that. Stephen Turner says, on a positive note, the Gaga, I got you, the Gaga, Lady Gaga moment, I got you moment with Liza Minnelli was super touching. I think she could be a great host. Bring some theater to the show. Hey, that's a great idea, Stephen. I would love to see Gaga host a show next year. That would be great. She's a great performer, certainly very good in front of crowds. I know she has her own kind of thing about being sensitive about being in front of huge audiences, even though she does perform. Hosting is a whole other animal than performing songs. So it could be something that could be kind of tough for her, but certainly I would love to see it. And yes, the Eliza moment was beautiful. It was gorgeous. It was very sweet. It was a little cringy at times because you really sensed that Liza was struggling to understand what was happening, which is really tough to see when, I grew up with Liza for many years, seeing her at the top of her game, commanding a crowd, being fully powerful as a performer and wowing the world. To see her in the wheelchair and see her where, now in the later stages of her life was really tough to see, but it was a beautiful, tender exchange between her and Lady Gaga. And Gaga's done this for Tony Bennett, for Liza Minnelli. I mean, she's incredible how she's reaching out to the older artists and making sure there's connections and people understand who these people are that came before them and laid the groundwork for so many people, especially Liza as a female performer, certainly endured a lot to achieve what she achieved in a male-dominated society. Jughead saying, hi, John, again. Let me clarify myself again. Jada had embarrassed Will over the last few years, and he has let it go. All right, I guess. I don't, to me, that's their relationship, and us seeing it from the outside, casting aspersions and judgment on it, I don't participate in that. That's their stuff. We do not know the personal exchanges that they've had. We do not know what she has bit her lip about or what she's talked about. We don't know what he has bit his lip about or talked about. We don't know. It's their relationship. And if they're happy in their relationship, who are you to judge it? They're happy, they seem to be. And she was there with him, and she stood by him. Jada could have stopped Will if she had wanted to stop Will. Jada would have stood up. She's no wallflower. She would have said, stop, Will, come back here. She'd have said that, and I do believe that she could have stopped him if she wanted to. And she didn't, she wasn't embarrassed, she wasn't mortified. You didn't see any of that last night. And you can say, and I'm sure there's a number of women who might say, well, she just went along with it because that's unfortunately what women have to do sometimes when their men act the fool. I totally understand that. But she was out partying with Will later on and, doing all stuff with Will. So to me, I take it as that's their relationship. He handled something in their relationship and she respected that. So we'll see though. All right. Anybody else with Streamlabs Super Chats? Okay, cool. Let's get on out of here. Thank you all so much for joining me. As I said, I appreciate it. This was an impromptu thing. I just kind of came up with it. It's kind of like 20 minutes before we started. It's kind of like, well, you know what? I'm in the mood to talk about it. Let's talk about it. So I didn't have all the pictures and the graphics and all this thing to show. So I really appreciate you all hanging out with me. Had well over 300 of you. Please remember to hit a like on this video. And leave a comment down below for any of those of you who are watching it later on. Leave a comment down below. Hit a like on this video, as I said, and share it on your social media. When you share it on your social media, you're telling your friends and family the Outlaw Nation is a cool place to come hang out, have content just like this, live shows, pre-produced shows, reviews, trailer reactions, all kinds of stuff. So please let them know. And also subscribe to the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button so you see when we're dropping all the content we do. Trying to get to 25,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Would love your help in doing so. I'd appreciate it. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good rest of your Monday. Try to, spend some time thinking about things. Spend some time kind of mulling some things over, and hopefully you come out better on the other side from that thought process, because I respect you. And let me say one last thing, as I say with all this, in everyone, at the end of all these shows, and it seems even more poignant now, for whatever you're struggling with, whatever you're going through, whatever you're navigating in your life, I'd like to tell you, man, find a way, whatever you need to do to get through the next second, next minute, next hour, next day, next week, next month, next year. Find your way to do it. Just because you're in the middle of the worst struggle or the worst turmoil or the worst tumult in your life, it doesn't mean that a path won't show itself if you work through it, if you take little baby steps, pinky toe steps forward to try to figure out how to make your life a better place, how to make your world a better place. And if you just hold on, even if you can't move forward, if you just hold on, this too shall pass, and you never know what's waiting for you on the other side. It might just surprise you. It surprised me. Look what it's going on with my life. It surprised me. So, yeah. So I just want to say that to you all, and send my thoughts and feelings of comfort and understanding and my grace to Chris Rock, to Will Smith, to Jada Pinkett Smith, people I do not know, but sending it out to them and their families, and especially sending out to the Black community, who has to deal with now numerous takes from both sides of the political aisle about what Will Smith did and about the Black community, which is going to be really unfair to see. And I'm going to do my damnedest not to weigh in on every one of these and start a war about every one of these. But I hope people kind of understand the toxicity that they themselves are throwing into the world by judging this situation so harshly with so much anger instead of some kind of understanding. The same understanding they would deliver to themselves or one of their friends if their friends made a mistake or they made a mistake. Just throwing it out there. All right, I love you all madly. Take care of yourselves. Be well, and I'll talk to you next time with another brand new live episode of the Outlaw Nation. Don't forget all the content coming up this week: the Geek Buddies, the John and Wendy Show, the Hot Mic with Jeff Snyder and John Rocha, and all the stuff we got going on here. Much love to you, and of course, the John and Wendy Show on Fridays at 3 p.m. PT on Twitch. See you. Be well. Take care.